Good morning, Tony.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Jensine, if you're there and would like to check your audio, please go ahead.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Bama. If you'd like to check your audio.
Yeah, can you hear me? Good morning.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Supervisor Wasserman. You're muted, sir.
Try that again. You know, it's funny, it said join with audio and I said yes, and then I was still muted.
You know what? I think that's a setting on our part so that it helps us cut back on background noise.
Good, good.
And good morning, Supervisor Wasserman. I will be the clerk for today. Peggy Doyle.
Well, Peggy, good morning.
Recording in progress.
This is the clerk, and the meeting is now being recorded. Good morning, Supervisor Simidian.
Good morning, and thank you for your help today.
Good morning, Peggy. All right, and we have 9:59. We'll give, what do we got here? 25 seconds more to be accurate. I don't know, what do we call that? Do we call that Apple time, or is that Greenwich? Or I guess it's the same on no matter what kind of phone you have. I don't know, but I know it rules our lives.
That it does.
3, 2, 1, lift off. All right, call to order, please, Peggy.
Vice Chairperson Simidian.
Here.
And Chairperson Wasserman.
Here as well. Thank you very much. And Peggy, let me scroll down on the bottom here. I don't see any speakers. Do you?
We do have two attendees, and I was expecting one to raise her hand, and she did. So we have a speaker.
Yep.
3 minutes.
3 minutes, please.
Our first speaker is Rhoda Fry. I am unmuting you. Please accept the unmute, and you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Good morning, supervisors. I didn't realize you had already jumped into public comment, and I suppose you'll be enjoying your hiatus. until October. So I've got three items that I wanted to talk with you about. One is, to my surprise, the Planning Commission will have three out of 7 positions assigned to one supervisor. And I think that's a bit lopsided, and I can imagine it's difficult for a single supervisor to appoint 3 planning commissioners at once. And I'm just wondering what can be done structurally so that you never have more than 2 people assigned to one supervisor. And no offense to Mr. Wasserman, because I realize this is your district. But it was a surprise to me that could actually happen. So anyway, I'm wondering what can be done about that. And a couple of other items. Surprise, one does not have to do with the quarries. And, I was looking into the airport issues, and I got curious about lead. And I found out that at Palo Alto Airport, there had been lead monitoring. The EPA pointed out that there was excesses of lead at Palo Alto Airport. The lead monitor was removed for good reason, because the property was sold in 2014. But a new lead monitor was never reinstalled by BACMed. Same thing happened at San Carlos, which is outside of our district. But San Carlos, same thing. Their lead monitor was removed in 2017 and never replaced by BACMed. And, EPA seems to think that lead is important. So why don't we have these lead monitors? And of course, the air that's coming from San Carlos and Palo Alto airports are certainly going to impact Santa Clara County residents. Obviously, Palo Alto is within Santa Clara County, but we would be impacted by air from the San Carlos airport as well. And of course, I can't leave you without talking about the quarry issues. And so over at Lehigh now has 2 new businesses, and frankly, I do not think that they should be permissible. One is for importing cement, and they had been a cement manufacturing facility, not an importing facility. The other one is a rock plant. It's a new type of business because it's a dry process rather than a wet process. And I believe that BACMed has permitted it under questionable circumstances, and with the lawyers trying to convince the engineers that they should do it. I've emailed you on this, and you can read about it further. Thank you very much. See you in October.
And that concludes our speakers.
Thank you very much. That moves us on, Supervisor, to item 3, which is approval of the consent calendar, which currently has items 9 through 13 on it. Before I look for any speakers, are you okay with 9 through 13? Do you want to add or move anything to or from it?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to move approval of the consent calendar as contained in our published agenda.
Okay. Then
To the chairperson,
yes.
Apologies for the interruption, but the clerk is asking that item number 13, which is the August 12 minutes, be held to October 27.
Okay, motion maker, are you okay with that?
I'm happy to incorporate that direction into the motion for approval.
Okay. Thank you. And I do not see, Peggy, any speakers for this item.
We have no speakers.
So roll call vote, please. I second the motion.
Vice Chairperson Zemedian.
Aye.
And Chairperson Wasserman.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We now move on to item number 4, which is the receiving the report from Management Audit Division and the Los Altos Hills County Fire District relating to the implementation of the recommendations.
Mr. Chairman, if you are amenable, I think we could just ask for a brief update on the strategic community fuel break with the Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District. And then I have 2 quick questions. And I think given the completeness of the reports we've received over the last 8 or 9 months, that might be the most expeditious path.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll let you welcome our guests. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Logan, Mr. Warren, I see you both on here. I don't believe there's anybody else. Let me move my panelist screen away from. No, I don't. Ms. Logan, General Manager Logan.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you, President Wasserman and Supervisor Simidian. I am Jay Logan, General Manager of Los Altos Hills County Fire District. And thank you for the introduction, but I'd like to introduce Commission Board President Mark Warren, who is joining us today.
Yep.
As an overview of the strategic community fuel break, this is being planned in coordination with MidPen along the common boundaries between MidPen and the district, which is 5.5 miles. The proposal for the community fuel break was presented at the August 17th Commission meeting, and discussion was held between the district staff and Mid-Peninsula Open Space District staff. The proposal is comprised of 5 sub-projects, which would form defenses of various fuel reduction treatments and vegetation mitigation strategies using the natural landscape of the area. This project will enhance fire resiliency and public safety for the community and increase safety and operational effectiveness for fire agencies operating along the district and Mid-Penn shared borders. District outreach and programs to homeowners that abut the boundaries is planned, and fire access roads will be reviewed for construction of evacuation routes and areas to stage fire crews. That is a quick summary of that fuel break program. Thank you.
Thank you. And may I ask you, does the J stand for J?
It is an interesting initial that stands for Joanne, and that has a nice story behind it someday.
All right. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Supervisor Simidian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You learn something new at every meeting. There you go. I appreciate that report. I just thought it helped to highlight what we have discussed previously, which is the Commission's work with our team here at the county to identify programs and uses of funds that are wholly consistent with the obligation to use those funds to the benefit of residents in the district, while also providing regional benefit simultaneously. So I'll acknowledge that. And if that seems like it was an unpaid infomercial for you, Mr. Chairman, that was exactly my goal. So thank you for allowing that. I did want just to ask quickly, because I know it came up in FGOC, the tree removal program that was part of the audit discussion, last fall, that has long since ceased to be in operation, yes?
Can I respond to that, Supervisor?
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you. Yes, the tree removal program was the topic of recommendation 2.1, and the district was requested to end the discretionary tree service to improve properties' abilities to survive wildfires, and that services should reduce overall fire risk. So to this end, the tree program was retired in March of 2020, and no expenditures for removal of trees have been made. The district established an integrated hazardous fuel reduction program that complies with management audit recommendation 2.1. And then such services are construction of evacuation routes and road hardening, which removes roadside brush, flashy fuels, limbs up trees, provides greater road egress and ingress, and staging areas for firefighters. And then the district, in collaboration with Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council, constructed evacuation routes on Page Mill Road in 2 phases, and is now finalizing authorization that was sent to 119 residents along Moody and El Monte roads for the next evacuation route project. And additional evacuation route projects are in the design stage. And as you know, Fire Station 8 is providing this regional fire protection service. The community's fuel break, which I just discussed with MidPen, is under development. We had our annual goat grazing program was completed, and our home ignition zone survey program for residents are now planned in targeted areas that abut residential properties with MidPen. When residents reach out to the district and inquire about the Services for Dead Tree Removal Program, the answer from the district is, although the dead tree removal program is retired, the many programs that emerged as integrated hazardous fuel reduction initiatives provide residential, community, and regional protections. And these programs are a more effective and strategic use of taxpayers' funds. So Supervisor Simitian, that's a long response to your question, but I thought it was very important to put that forward as the way in which we're complying with recommendation 2.1 in place of a dead tree removal program.
Thank you very much. And through the chair, if I may, Mr. Wasserman, my third and final question or inquiry has to do with the fact that it's good to see yet again that the report to our committee from the Harvey Rose organization, our auditor says, quote, "We believe that the fire district has implemented or is on track to implement the audit recommendations as adopted by the Board of Supervisors." But as we approach the 1-year mark, I am, of course, hoping that shortly we're going to see a statement that indicates that we're not just on track, but we're done. And I know that's the hope and expectation of all parties. I just wanted to ask Ms. Soloff, I notice from our Harvey Rose team is on the call with us. I see on packet page 11, it says, "We expect to be able to classify it," referring to the records management system, "as implemented in full in the upcoming monthly report." Ms. Soloff, am I correct in my recollection that that's the only thing that is still in progress and that you still expect this to be, excuse me, and that you expect that it will in fact be fully completed by the next report?
Yes, sir.
Thanks. And Ms. Logan and Mr. Warren, not to put you on the spot, but let me put you on the spot. Do you think we can get this done by the next report?
I can respond to that. Can I give you an overview, a summary of what's been done so far?
Sure.
Okay, so for the status of the district administrative policy on record management and retention systems, recommendation 5.2 of management audit asks the district to scan and store official records, and that includes bids for contracts in an electronic database or central repository. Ensure that records are not held at contractors' residence or private offices, or that they're not retained, so they are to be retained. Just for an overview, hard copies of district records are digitized. Hard copies are stored at El Monte Fire Station. However, that station remains inaccessible due to COVID-19.
Lost Jay, it looks like.
Excuse me?
Go right ahead, Joanne. Somebody spoke, doesn't have their microphone off.
Okay, thank you. The district legislative documents are transmitted to the clerk of the Board of Supervisors and maintained in accordance with clerk of the board's systems. Bid documents from third-party vendors are now available on shared file drives and stored in district digital files. So all of our bid documents are now up and digitized and stored in these shared drives and on district files. Legal records from the prior legal counsel were digitized in May of 2021, are available to the district clerk and county counsel's office, and each has separate drives for backup. Hard copies are stored in the county counsel's office. Certain financial records are stored at the district financial consultant's professional business office since March of 2020. And then prior to 2020, the original hard copies were delivered to county controller and treasurer's office. And the district accounting software and bookkeeping processes do reside at the financial consultant's business office. District administrative policy for records management is in draft form and will be presented to the Board of Commissioners at the September 21st commission meeting. And we're also shoring up our IT operations to be sure we have capacity for all these digital records. So that's the status report, and that is all accurate as of today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could just sort of circle back then to Ms. Soloff. Ms. Soloff, does that sound like if that timeline is adhered to by the district, that we'll be in the place where full implementation can be reported at the next meeting?
Yes.
And let me ask Mr. Cheladin, since he was invoked from the county counsel's office, if he can unmute through the chair and share with us, does that sound consistent with your understanding as well?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right, then I have nothing else, Mr. Chair, and if there's nothing you or members of the public want to share, I'm happy to move the recommended action, which is simply to receive the report.
Thank you. We have no one from the public that I can see, Peggy, and so the report is received without a vote or objection. We now move on to item number 5, receive a report from the Department of Planning and Development relating to a new fee for appeals of the fire safe regulation exception determinations, which is not easy to say. We have Director Ponciano here. Welcome, Jack.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairperson Wasserman,
Morning.
Supervisor Simidian. I would like to introduce Sean Whiteman, our Senior Management Analyst, who will present on this item. Sean?
Welcome, Sean.
Thank you. Pleasure. Good morning, Chair Wasserman and Vice Chair Simidian. Sean Whiteman, Department of Planning and Development. With me are Lisa Mikhail, Interim Planning Manager, and Bama Ashok, our department's fiscal officer. And we're presenting a proposed fee to Hewlett today. Looking for feedback or any recommendations concerning the fire safe regulations implementation. It's hard to say, so I won't say it. But this proposed fee does concern that appeals process, and the ordinance was adopted by the board on Tuesday, August 31, excuse me. The ordinance covers the appeals process, and we indicated in our reports to you that we would be bringing a fee study your way. So this fee study was conducted, and it represents a 75% cost recovery. And we're setting it at $725. And the controller treasurer is currently reviewing, so we would not bring this to the board absent their full and final approval. So we are happy to answer any questions you have about this fee.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. And I saw Christopher here and Mama, and there's Lisa. We got the whole crew. Supervisor Simidian, do you have any questions? The staff report for me was quite explanatory, and I understand your logic. Sean.
I have no questions. I am happy to move that we receive the report. I have only one comment to make at this time, which is going to channel you, Mr. Wasserman. I just want to look to staff and exhort them to stay on top of the fee and the cost recovery rate if and when approved by the board, so that we don't come back in 3, 4, 5 years to some board with a dramatically higher increase than would have been necessary if we had made modest adjustments on an annual basis year to year. Mr. Wasserman, how'd I do in channeling your concern as I've heard over the years?
You channeled me perfectly. Thank you very much, Sean. He's referring to this fee and all the other fees, and I appreciate Supervisor Simidian bringing that up. I'm a big fan, as he just shared, of annual CPI type increases rather than nothing, 30%.
Understood.
So
and thank you for the report. I too found it thorough and clear, and I'm happy to simply move that we receive the report, and we'll see this again at the full board as indicated by staff.
Yes, thank you. After it has one detour, as Sean mentioned. All right, item number 6, receive report from the Office of Supportive Housing relating to potential housing development at 525 Charleston Road, Palo Alto. I would look for Consuelo on my screen, and there's our director. Go right ahead, Consuelo.
Thank you, Chairperson Wasserman. Good morning, Supervisor Simidian. Consuelo Hernandez here, Director, Office of Supportive Housing. A few updates for you since the preparation of the legislative file. On Monday, Eden did host their 3rd community workshop. We had a total of 49 attendees, including 20 new first attendees, which is really great news because it shows that Eden continues to outreach to members of the community through this entire process. And also wanted you both to be aware that on Friday, Eden did submit their preliminary application for pre-screening to the city of Palo Alto, and we are still holding the city council study session is currently scheduled for September 27th. And through that session, we hope to learn more from the council about the land use approach that we've developed with Eden Housing. Happy to take any additional questions from the members.
Thank you very much for that, Consuelo. Peggy, I don't see any speakers. Do you?
We have no speakers this morning.
Thank you. Supervisor Semidion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have been working closely with Office of Supportive Housing and the development team, so I feel like I am up to speed, particularly with this most recent report. And I think the only thing I will say that will not come as a surprise to staff is please maintain a sense of urgency in terms of timeline. I know that the entitlement strategy is mindful of that concern as the team moves forward to try and think about ways to have a thorough but expeditious review of the project. So I think I'm just happy to say, please go, go, go. And I'm prepared to move the recommended action, which is to receive the report.
Thank you. Was that 3 goes or 4 goes? I was taking.
Oh, 3 goes. Go, go, go.
Okay, go, go, go. Thank you. Thank you. I think Consuelo has that direction, and I concur. Thank you very much. We'll consider that received as well. Thanks, Consuelo and team. Thank you very much. Item number 7 is to receive a report from the Office of Supportive Housing. So Consuelo is not going anywhere, and the Department of Planning and Development. So Jacqueline's coming back, relating to finance and development of affordable housing for agricultural workers. Always a good topic. Consuelo, are you opening this up?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson Wasserman. Consuelo Hernandez here again. We provided an interim report for this first meeting and asked for additional time, particularly because there is new funding available both through the state and through the federal government, specifically for agricultural workers, both for multifamily and single family homes, specifically under the USDA program. Section 502 allows mortgages and rental preservation projects for consideration. This is something that we explored as staff with growers in South County back in 2015 and 2016. But we just need more time to talk through with the growers on potential guidelines for a possible loan program. And we're looking at 3 specific models. San Mateo County specifically has a farm labor housing pilot program that they've been running. They're on their phase 3 of implementation, and we'd like to loop them in and learn from them to see how their program is going, but also share that with the growers to make sure that the program we're developing is actually going to be usable by the end user. And then San Benito County has a sweat equity loan program that's designed specifically for homeownership. It doesn't look like the program has been successful to date, but again, we'd like to re-engage our colleagues in San Benito County we were working with a few years ago to understand some of those challenges and see if there's a way to leverage this new USDA funding that's included in the Biden administration's budget. The funding at the state level is a little complicated right now. All of the multifamily development resources that are coming from the state are being pulled together into one super NOFA, and a NOFA is a notice of funding availability. And this is the state's effort to, similar to what the county has done, where it's a one-stop shop for resources. The state is doing something very similar, and they're proposing to release this super NOFA in February. But the details of those programs and how they will be dispersed are not known yet. We're tracking that very closely. In the past, the Joe Cerna grant program, that's the program that we would access. That is being looped into the SuperNOFA, and so the details of that are unknown at this time, which is why we're asking for an extension of the report. On the planning side, Jacqueline and her team have been doing really great in terms of implementing the zoning changes, which would allow us to pursue more solutions for the growers in South County. I'm
Wonderful.
happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Jacqueline, anything you wish to add in? You're muted. Nope.
Sorry. Yep. No, thank you. Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. I've got some comments I'll make after hearing from you, Supervisor Smitty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have just a couple of comments. I think the plan to come back in November when there's more information available makes sense. Fine with that, and happy, just for the record, to move the recommended action, which is to receive the report. I want to offer a couple of cautionary exhortations to staff, just so they know where at least this board member is coming from. And they both come in the form of a yes, but. One of them is, I know there is a desire on the part of staff in terms of the language we use to talk about housing for the quote agricultural workforce, accurately reflecting the fact that not all the employees in the industry are farm workers per se. That being said, the proposal that I authored with Mr. Wasserman's co-authorship was driven by my interest, concern, and advocacy for the creation of housing for farm workers. So I don't want the exception to swallow the rule. I don't want the let's not forget other agricultural workforce folks to sort of become the driving force rather than or in lieu of the farm workers, the folks who are actually out doing the work in the fields. So again, okay with it. Want to have a language change, that's fine. I guess what I'm saying is, you know, if somebody shows up with a proposal for 100 units of housing and only 10 of those units are for folks who are actually out in the field, I'm going to say, whoa, 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 that's not what we were talking about. And I wanted to share that with you now, so you didn't go down a path only to say, oh, nobody ever told us, you know, this is the driving concern. So that's my first yes, but. And my second yes, but has to do with an interest that I know staff has expressed in providing seasonal housing. And I understand that there's a need for that. I am pleased that staff is mindful of that need and thinking about how we might be responsive to that need. But my yes, but is yes, but let's not let that get in the way of creating year-round permanent housing for folks and just to make the staff smile, in the agricultural workforce. I want to make sure again that the don't forget seasonal doesn't become the thing that ends up eclipsing somehow the need for year-round housing. And I think really those are probably the only two observations I wanted to make sure I got in early. I'm aware that there's some effort, Mr. Chair, to look at refurbishing hotels, motels, and I think you know, we've learned that as the economy changes and our world changes, that repurposing some existing structures sometimes works. So I'm pleased that you're looking at a range of possibilities. I'll say thank you, and again, happy to move receipt when you've completed your comments and questions, and we've heard from the community, if any.
Thank you. I would agree with you and move this along, but I wanted to take a moment and say thank you to Consuelo and Jacqueline collaboration for your work on implementing the vision of the Agricultural Task Force and creating new affordable housing for residents and agricultural workers in South Santa Clara County. I look forward to learning what funding opportunities exist, as you just raised, Consuelo, to help broaden our efforts. Thank you all very much. I think we're headed in a wonderful direction, and I attribute our heading in that direction by the item that Supervisor Smitty brought up and invited me to join with him. Thank you all very much. With that, we'll consider item 7 finito, and we'll move on, or finito, I guess in Italian. We'll now move on to item 8, receiving a report from the Office of Supportive Housing relating to experience gained from COVID-19 pandemic response to support individuals and families experiencing homelessness. Consuelo, it's your day.
Thank you, Supervisor Wasserman. Just one report to add to the written report is our strategy around Project Home Key. You know, one of the key elements or things that we look to continue post-pandemic is leveraging the governor's budget for home key. And as county staff, one of the things that we have found is that our city partners look to us for our expertise. So we've created a space for lessons learned, both in looking at home key for permanent conversion of hotels into housing, and similar to the Mountain View home key site, what are some of the lessons learned through that? Through our work, we have had a number of city council direct their staff to work with us, specifically the cities of Palo Alto and the city of Santa Clara, who are both interested in the interim housing or temporary housing, exploring properties for that. So one of the things, again, that we're creating is that space to share lessons learned, and also really understanding, one of the benefits of the statute around home key had to do with CEQA and the streamlining from a land use perspective. And most cities are unfamiliar with that statute, and the governor's budget, it's unclear if it continues that statute. So part of the work that we're doing is helping navigate that process as a team, and getting out to do the community engagement earlier, which was one of the other lessons learned. Wanted to highlight that, which is not fully covered in the written report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Consuelo. And Supervisor Smitty, before I turn to you, Peggy, the hand raised that I see on my screen, is that for this item, or did I miss it on item 7?
I believe it's for this item.
Okay, Supervisor Smitty, and unless you need to comment before, can we hear from a member of the public?
All good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Peggy, take it away.
Our next speaker is B. Beekman. I'm unmuting you. Please accept the unmute and you will have 2 minutes to speak.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. I was a little late for the meeting today, so I wanted to speak on this specifically. Thank you that you're working to address bureaucratic issues around Sheriff Lori Smith and what practices she could do better at this time. It's just that in mind that I think we have to be considering what can be better bureaucratic practices overall for all of county government and for local government as well. The VTA events have hopefully woken us up to that. With that said, we're entering kind of a new stage of COVID issues, and the vaccine passport process is a hot button issue at this time. I think it can be important to start to really bring back the conversation of what exactly are the vaccines. What are the availability of the vaccines? What exactly do they do? How can we better talk about the science of the vaccines themselves? I think to establish a trust with the community and to better build upon good scientific beginnings we've had with the subject, it can help a lot. What is the aerosol vaccine process about? Can that be a subject that we can begin to talk more openly about? I think it does something interesting and safe that we should learn how to talk about, that I think we may be a bit too afraid to talk about publicly and openly. And, it's all these sort of subject matter that, I don't want to totally blow open Pandora's box, but how do we just bring back good open conversation between ourselves as a community about important subject matter so we're all clear and learn to better trust each other? Thank you.
And that concludes our speakers.
Thank you, Blair, and thank you, Peggy. With that, Supervisor Simeon, I'll turn to you regarding item number 8.
Thank you. A couple of questions for Ms. Hernandez. You piqued my interest with the passing reference to the Life Moves project in Mountain View. I gather that the real value added of a project like that one is that it serves the interim housing function. Did I get that right, Ms. Hernandez?
That's correct, Supervisor Simitian.
And I would just say, Supervisor Wasserman, and I'm guessing we've had similar experiences in our districts, that I think that that's an important role to play, and also an important role to share with or communicate to the public about, because I think the receptivity on projects of this sort, in my experience, at least as an elected official, is far greater if people see them not as, permanent shelters, but as venues that provide an opportunity for people to move up and out to a better situation. And when we made the transition that we've made in the last decade from, simple shelters like the old Armory in Sunnyvale to places that provide services and case management and move people up and out in a way that's real and significant, demonstrable, I think the support out there in the community is appreciably greater. It's something I hear about from the folks I work with in the communities I represent.
Yep. No, I concur. I got muted.
I know from the work that we have done in other settings that the pandemic presented some real challenges in terms of congregate settings as opposed to separate spaces. And I gather that one of the real benefits of the Life Moves container approach is that it addresses that need for separate spaces and eliminates the concern or dramatically reduces the concern about proximity that we have in a congregate space. Am I grasping that one right as well, Ms. Hernandez?
That's correct, Supervisor Simitian. It's looking at a new way of approaching temporary housing, where the traditional model of a congregate setting, there has been no innovation around that in the past. And so these interim housing sites provide that opportunity to think differently about how we provide interim shelters.
Great, thanks. All right, well, I find all that illuminating and encouraging, and that's a good day. So I'm happy to say thank you and move to receive the report if this is the time, Mr. Chair.
Yes, it is the time. And Consuelo, thank you very much for, I seem to say this every single meeting, but the phenomenal job you do with these issues that are constantly moving. 2 years ago, this wasn't even a thought of ours. And now you're working on finding solutions for it. And the work that you're doing and your team is doing will help. 5 years from now, something else is going to come around. And you're creating things and ideas. And you mentioned before on an earlier item how you were reaching out to other counties to see what they were doing, best practices, what does work, what doesn't work. And I think it's so important here in the Bay Area that we all work together like the 7 counties currently are. Because if it's not, it's COVID today and who knows what it'll be tomorrow. So thank you for all your good work. And Supervisor Simitian, I agree, we'll consider that item received. We handled 9 through 12 on consent, and we held number 13. That moves us to adjournment. Peggy, I didn't see any speakers for item number 8. Do you agree?
Correct.
Thank you. With that then, Supervisor, I would suggest that we adjourn this meeting, and our next one is scheduled for October 27th. Is that agreeable to you?
You're then, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all very much. Oops. Where did she go? Peggy, thank you
I'm
very
right
much. There you are. Peggy, thank you very much too for managing our meeting.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Recording stopped.